It's a no secret that in today's world, all of us are feeling stressed, whether it's about work, family, or personal challenges. We all have a lot on our plates that's impacting the overall quality of our life. And thus, focusing on our mental health and well-being becomes very important so that we can enjoy our life to the fullest. I am here to discuss with you the importance of mental health and well-being. When we talk about mental health solutions, finding a solution is a critical challenge because there is no one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to mental wellness. What works for me may not work for you. What works for him may not work for her. So that's why it's important to have a very relatable and easy solution. That's where Jumping Minds comes in. It's an all-in-one mental health wellness platform that helps you feel better anytime, anywhere. Our unique Friends Therapy approach provides you an anonymous, round-the-clock platform where you can find and talk to like-minded friends, support groups, as well as therapists with a sense of community and connection that is often missed in traditional mental health care. And I'm proud to say that in just 1.5 years, we have served over 6 lakh happy users with over 10 lakh sessions and over 80% feel better rate. One of the key factors in the tremendous growth that we have seen has been the Google Accelerator program that gave us access to some of the best minds in the industry whose guidance and insights have been critical for us to solve some of the most challenging problems of the business. The access that we got to the mentorship and valuable resources have been instrumental in our growth. Today, I am here to discuss with you especially the importance of positive and supportive workplaces. Employees are the most valued asset of any organization, and poor mental health can lead your employees to feel isolated, burned out, and fatigued, resulting in high absenteeism and low productivity. This can ultimately harm your organization's bottom line. On the other hand, focusing on initiatives for employee wellness can lead to better team dynamics, communication, and overall creativity and productivity. This will ultimately lead to better organizational outcomes such as profitability and higher customer satisfaction. And that's why, to help you with the same, we at Jumping Minds has launched our Employee Awareness Outreach Program, where we are giving away a host of wellness services from therapy to fitness programs to selected corporates free of cost. If you would like to participate, please visit us at www.jumpingminds.ai. After all, we are all in this together. Now moving on to our next panel, which is Finding Balance, Positive and Supportive Workplaces. As you know, the last few years and the events that have occurred have dramatically changed the workplace, and founders need to focus on efficient practices that keep their employees happy, motivated, and engaged. And with that, I would like to invite all of you to join us with our industry experts and HR professionals who are reshaping the future of workplace. I would like to invite Ms. Suchi Mukherjee, founder and CEO of LimeRoad, to take this forward and kickstart the panel. I would also like to invite Mr. Shantanu Deshpande. I am sure you know he needs no introduction.
Hello. Jinny?
I'm Jinny. Okay, so you know what? If we really want to do this, we'll have to decide, and all of you move ahead, fill this row, because we're just going to have an authentic conversation. And you can listen in and get something out of it. That's our way of balancing this format out, right? So I would request all of you to just move up if you really want to get something out of it. All right, so I have Shantanu, and Shantanu is an entrepreneur. His dad became an entrepreneur at 50 after becoming CEO of Tech Mahindra. And then, so he's had entrepreneurship in his family. I'm a first generation entrepreneur. Nobody ever was an entrepreneur in my family. And then we have Jinny, who runs, so Shantanu runs Bombay Shaving Company. I run a company called LimeRoad. And Jinny runs a platform called Thinking Partners. That is a coaching platform and has some very, very interesting stories to share. So, you know, what we have agreed to do is to not do this show and dance panel for you. The three of us have agreed to just have an authentic conversation. So we're going to have fun, and you can pretend that you're just listening in to a personal conversation the three of us are having, because that's the format that we're going to run this in. I'm going to ask some really teasy questions, and you know, we are going to agree and disagree, and we will be off script, and we will be fumbling, but that's okay, because we'll all be finding our balance as this conversation proceeds. So, Shantanu, do you have a mic that works? Jinny, what about you?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so to start with, let me ask the audience a question. Okay, raise your hand. What do you want to get out of this session? What's a good, valuable thing? What would feel like, 30 minutes well spent?
So I am facing employee retention in my company, so that is what's the main focus for me.
Great, employee retention.
Okay.
Excellent.
I want to know the mistakes not to make from your experiences related to culture in a company.
Superb.
So retention and
Okay,
culture.
retention, mistakes not to make. Okay.
To change mindsets
Write these
of the
down.
team, particularly when it is a small team of it, and then how to bring them out of the job mode and make them into a startup mode of mindset.
Agility as a mindset.
Agility as a mindset, okay.
Hello. I want to know how to find a balance between work from home and actually coming into work. Pros, cons, how do we find that balance for employees?
Yeah. Remote versus remote. You want me to take
Home
both?
versus work.
Yeah.
Home
Remote
versus office,
in-person. Yeah.
right?
Do positive and supportive workplaces actually exist?
All right, myth or reality?
Wow. Okay. Come on, nice. Get me closer.
So I left my corporate world and I started a company called Second Act, and I literally work on people's second act, but I was not able to do this in the corporate space. So why do people not discover a second act while they're working in the corporate spaces is my question.
Okay.
Okay.
Personally,
Yes. We'll take one more and then we can just do it during the conversation. I think we have a
I
good.
just want to how can make a people a vision align with the vision and to make to success in the long run with us.
Okay.
And one answer.
Yes.
Personal and professional life work balance.
Okay.
Okay.
The positive balance between the professional and personal life.
Okay.
So Suchi, we have culture,
Uh-huh.
retention, work from home versus remote. Why do people not have the freedom in corporate, and personal and professional work-life balance? There's one question there around agility in a small team.
Lovely.
Okay, good starting point.
And Shantanu, you get full marks for memories. All right, awesome. So look, let's start with that first question then. Balance. Does it exist? Is it a myth? What is balance for you? And as part of that question, let's talk about our different personas. I'm a mother of 2 children, 2 teenagers, 18 and 13. I'm a wife. I'm an entrepreneur and leader, 450, 500 people. I'm a daughter-in-law. I'm a daughter. I'm a sister-in-law. So I have all these avatars. And so all of us have avatars. And is balance a reality or is balance a myth?
You want to go or you want me to go?
All right, go first.
Okay. No, I think Suchi, first of all, thank you so much for bringing us all together. It's a privilege to be here at TiE. I've been at multiple cities, but Delhi for the first time. So thanks to the organizers. Personally, I think balance is all about time. I think it's a mindset of owning your own time. I think we tend to lose balance when we start getting stressed about all the things we have to do and all the people we have to make happy. But all the things you have to do is for ourselves, and the most important person to make happy is yourself. So if you start owning time, independent of whether you're junior, senior, etc., and start focusing only on things that move the needle, where you are the most important person to move the needle, you will start creating time for yourself. As an entrepreneur, we don't have a personal versus professional. I think it's very fluid, right? You can't switch off because you're always mentally on. So finding ways to be happy. So for me, I love being with my friends. So I meet like 3 friends a week. I will pick up the phone and call up someone in the US if I'm awake late at night to like kind of get in touch. I love playing the tabla. So I listen to a lot of YouTube tabla. My teacher, for example, has videos. I love playing football. I work out a lot. So moment I find time, I do it. I don't wait to do कि मैं ये 10 चीजें करूँगा और then I will do something which is good for me. No, if I feel like doing it, I do it right then and there. And then that way it makes life a lot easier.
Creating time, I think, what does creating time feel like as a ritual? So one of the things that I have realized about creating time is that if you think about the day as 24 hours and each hour as 60 minutes, right? There's a lot of minutes in the day, right? And the reality is, I notice that we context shift quite a lot through the day. And that context shifting, for those of you who have iPhones understand this, the brain's not very good at doing it, right? So one of the things that I have learned as a practice is that if you give a moment, that 1 minute in the middle or 2 minutes, to just calm down, regulate your breathing, you create way more time because your brain is just totally refreshed to take up a new task on minute 3. So I'd love to ask both of you, what practices have you seen that enable you to create time? And so that you can manage these various avatars. It'll be lovely to hear some practices.
I think first I'd like to be having an authentic conversation.
Sure.
So I think I'd like to challenge the idea of balance itself. This idea that we can have this balanced life feeds into this sense of a happy ever after fairy tale story. This sense of balance is about this time when it's all perfect. In actuality, that idea of balance allows us to deny reality. Reality, 21st century, the times we live in, the sociological changes, the technological changes, all of that tells us that life is far more messy and complex than it has ever been. And so to then say, let's find balance amidst this complexity, amidst this madness, is almost like an escape thinking that somehow this happy ever after balance is possible. I think for startup founders, for leaders, for all of us, HR, a lot of people here, we've got to recognize that the first step is recognition of it's complex, it's messy, there are no easy answers here. And balance is not an elusive thing that you can just achieve by switching off a button, turning on a button. I liked what Shantanu had shared because underneath the idea of balance, what he's saying is, look, amidst all that's happening, I take the time to prioritize myself. And so it's not necessary that he's achieving balance by doing that. What he's doing is he's prioritizing self-care. He's understood what gives him happiness. He has awareness of what brings him alive. And he prioritizes that as opposed to waiting that someday, when all is well, I will listen to tabla. He's saying that doesn't exist. That someday doesn't exist. If I can find 5 minutes to do that, which is what Suchi is saying, that in the middle of this chaos, this complexity, these multiple avatars, the multiple contexts in which I'm living, if I find those 5 minutes to regulate my breathing, then I prioritize self-care, and that allows me not necessarily to create time, because we can't create time, but what it allows you to do is have a sense of spaciousness that didn't exist before that 5-minute breathing regulation. So that practice is great. This practice of prioritizing spending time with friends, affiliation, relationship, belonging, that powers you, you know, as instead of waiting to go up till empty, then powering yourself, you keep refilling your fuel, basically. You keep fueling yourself. So we all have to figure out what are those things that will fuel me. For some it will be reading a book, for some it will be to just switch off, for some it will be to take a digital Sabbath, take a digital detox. But you've got to figure out for yourself what are those things that give you joy, that fuel you, that will help you come back to this moment.
So, really nicely said. Even I agree that there is no concept of balance. I mean, the best thing I feel, and I think, Jinny, I totally agree, is at any given point in time, I'm only one person. So there's no idea of balance, doesn't exist. Only question is, am I being the best form of whatever role I'm playing at that point in time? And you know, over time, over large periods of time, am I balanced enough that I'm seeing my daughter enough? It's that sort of balance. But I'm not balancing every day. I'm certainly not balancing every week. And so, you know, balance is a myth. But let's deep dive. I'll take the question, and we'll be disruptive, and we'll take questions right in the middle. Hold on one. Okay, why don't we take the question?
Can you define balance? What do you guys mean by balance?
Okay,
Since you said the idea of balance is just...
There is no, what Jinny and I are saying, it doesn't exist. And what Shantanu is saying is balance is when you own your time. And that's just our view. So, you know, the reality of this thing is, on balance, I think one of the questions that I'd like to ask as a follow-on to this is, you know, every time we talk about this thing as if the thing that we are doing during the day is the real shit, you know? And like Shantanu is saying, I want to play the tabla to escape. I love playing the tabla, I want to play it. And then we're saying, you know, I want to meet my friends. And really, it's like my son. He loves good food, and then his eyes will light up, and then the rest of the day he's moving around. So the question I have for both of you is, how do we make every moment in the day, or is there a way to make every moment in the day the equivalent of a tabla playing moment? How do we make every moment in the day the equivalent of being with a friend? And I think if we can figure out that, retention is no longer a problem, because people are genuinely having fun at work. Do you have a view? Shantanu, you go first.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think absolutely relate to what she said. To your earlier question, I have 2-3 very simple rules. Number one is, at any moment, is this the best use of my time? For example, I did not do a preparation call for this panel. I did not think it was necessary. I thought we could easily come and do this without an hour on my calendar. I don't have more than 4 to 5 meetings calendared a week, one a day. Because the moment I see those big blue dots on my calendar, I hate it. It pisses me off, stresses me out, and I've realized over a period of time I'm useless in most of those meetings. It's not required. And that's something that I've told in my company. If you guys want to be in a meeting, it has to be useful to you. You have to be useful to it both. Union. So otherwise it doesn't work. Second, meetings have to be 15 minutes only. 15 to 30 minutes. So prepare and come to the meetings. Third, say no constantly. I say no constantly to things. I genuinely feel that if that is not the best use of my time for that person also, then I might as well not engage. I'm available, but not super approachable that way. So there are 3-4 rules. I do feel like, you know, like, to your next question, which is what's the best way to have tabla playing or friend meeting moments every day. I would love to tickle your brain, given that you play a lot more roles. I'm not a parent, for example, and I'm not a woman. So those are significant kind of differences between our lives as founders. But for me, I think have 3-4 North Stars on your time. 3-4, not a lot. So I like working out. So for me, like, have I done 5 workouts in the week? Each workout should be 500 calories with a 140 average heart rate. Broad metrics are clear, right? Have I played the tabla for 6 hours this week? And I have that Alhera thing, so I can calculate the time. You know, who did I meet this week? And at the end of the day, when I go to sleep, am I happy when I wake up in the morning? Am I looking forward to the day? 4 things, literally 4 things, and that's it. And if you're not, you step back and say, yeah, kuch to galat chal raha hai. During fundraising, clear issues. Senior people leaving the company, clear issues. So step back, solve for it, and then kind of get back into waking up excited and sleeping happy. Broadly.
That's lovely, and I can tell you, Shantanu stuck to his words. And if, you know, like one of the things I like to do when I hear people speak and people you really, you know, you care about their perspective, is to understand what their practice is and to connect and see whether that practice might apply to you. So I will give you, I want to give you the lowdown on Shantanu's practice. Saying no is super hard, but Shantanu said no. I don't like doing panels with people I've not met or I've not at least had a conversation. He kept saying no to time. No, 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 no. Ultimately, I called him on his way here while he was driving on the NHA, and I said, Shantanu, where are you? I'm not getting onto the panel without speaking to you. And so what I admire is that he said no. And that's super, super hard. So huge kudos for that.
I look like a fool if I kind of
no, you don't look, not at all, not at all. And I think it's one of the toughest things to do is to say no. And people who are able to say no religiously, I have a lot of respect for them, even at work. And that's another thing for your retention. I'm also thinking about your retention question. You know, one of the things is tabla moments, right, through the day. What are the tabla moments through the day? And the second question is, how do you get people to learn how to say no? Because when you say no, you declutter. When you say no, saying no in product development on our roadmap, we have a no list. It's more important than the yes list. And then to stick by the no. So I think that's something for folks who are thinking about retention to remember.
Actually, one more thing, right? I think we get stressed on balance because we feel that we have a lot of stakeholders. If you're in a job, you have a boss, you have a client, you have founders, you have investors, you have employees, clients, vendors, whatever, right? We feel that they expect stuff from us. And our instinctive human reaction is to give them time. It's not to give them output. You have to realize, even if you have a boss, boss, I need to make you successful. I don't need to give you time. And we proxy time for hitting deadlines, making great documents, like deliverables, etc. It's not that. You have to say what's going to make you successful and have an explicit conversation and then deliver on that over an extended period of time that's comfortable to you and that person both. And that changes the dynamic completely. So now I don't have to show up and give a lot of time. I just need to, I know what success means to you. I'm working for it. You have to trust me on that. And then I have that same conversation with 10 people and then you
no, I will pick from there. So Jinny, how are you making tabla moments through the day? I'm going to call it tabla moments. I think that's going to stay. How are you making tabla moments through the day? And then Shantanu also asked another question, which is, women have wider roles than men. We can agree, disagree. But if you think that you have wider roles, then how are you playing those roles? Love to hear that.
Yeah, first of all, Shantanu, I really want to acknowledge, I think you're a great role model from my work in coaching CEOs, CXOs across VCs, private equity firms, startup co-founders, founders, and organizations like Nestle, Airtel. One of the zeitgeist of our times and our culture is the sense of hedonism, of excess. More money, more time, more of this, I need more of this, I need more of this. I think the way Shantanu is tapping into that culture is by adopting a counterculture approach, where he's actually living the principle of less is more. He's looking at not all that we can do. We can do this, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. I think he's trying to lead his company and himself by looking at the negative space, the less is more. What are the 3 things I do? What are the 4 things we need to do? Which is this ruthless prioritization of what matters, what's important, and living life by that, leading your company by that. So I think that is the access to creating tabla moments. Living from that principle of less is more, and really undoing this conditioning of excess, putting lots of meaning. I think Shantanu, the other thing you've been able to do successfully is separate your sense of self from the number of hours you work, or the number of meetings I was a part of. Our work identities are also shifting in this new world. Our work identities are taking on a new meaning, and Shantanu is the spokesperson for that, which is to not define who I am and how well I'm living by those 10 meetings that happened today, which is coming from that sense of insecurity. No, I need to be part of this. No, I need to be part of this. No, I do need to meet these people. I need to meet sales. I need to meet marketing. I need to be everywhere. What Shantanu is expressing is a sense of security, not a sense of insecurity. It's the sense of insecurity that drives you, that I have to be everywhere, I have to be in every meeting, I have to meet the sales, I have to meet the marketing, I have to be everywhere. But Shantanu is secure in his identity, and he's defining it by those 3 things that he's decided are important to him. So you're a great role model, and those are the 2 ways to create more tabla moments. Coming to gender issue here, yes, I agree. From all the diversity and inclusion related work we end up doing, women, it is more challenging for women. We are playing, we do end up playing more roles, but I think that is changing. I think that aspect is changing. I have a lot of respect for women who work, and even there I want to bring what Shantanu's philosophy is, that I think women need to give up this idea of being superwomen. I think there is a big research that is saying women who try to pursue it all. I can have marriage, I can have kids, I can have work, I can do it all. And in all of those situations, I can be perfect. This idea of perfection leads to burnout. We've done in Australia, they did a research. They looked at women who didn't have children and worked, and women who had children and worked. Women who didn't have children and worked scored better on all measures of happiness and well-being. Women who had children and worked did not score as well on all the measures of happiness and well-being. So we need to reinvent a new story of what it means to be a woman. And that's not just it's not incumbent on the woman to change that story. It's a cultural systemic shift, which I think is at play. How do I create tabla moments is being very clear of what my purpose in life is.
Actually, this purpose thing, I feel, and I have children, and I think I really love what I do. And the reality is that I'm a little bit of, on the orthogonal piece when it comes to this data showing women without children are happier than women with children. On a good day, my children can be scary and tough. And you're just dealing with 2 more human beings who are, who tell you exactly that, hey, I'm like this because I just learned from you. So, they're the biggest mirrors, and living with 2 mirrors, I've got 2, living with 2 mirrors all the time.
How old are they?
My daughter is 18 and in college, and my son is 12, turning 13, and thinks he's 18 and in college. So the reality is that, so I have a contrarian view to that I think they're happier because not living with 2 mirrors is just easier. and I think it has nothing to do with work. I mean, that's my view. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder because I think childbearing and rearing is an exercise in self-awareness all the time, and it's hard work. I think the answer to whether you're happy or not as a woman and a man, with kids, without kids, is actually to really find purpose and who you are, what is your tabla moment, and do more and more of those tabla moments, right? And be okay with the grind of the tabla moment. And that is what I really feel creates success. Because see, no matter what job we do, no matter, even if the job is bringing up children and being at home, it's a job. Or the job is not having children and being at work, it's a job. Every job has grind, 100%. Every job, doesn't matter what you're doing, it has grind. Can you love the grind? It's a simple question. Can you love the grind? And I think the only way you love the grind is to have authentic conversation. And I just genuinely believe it, which is, I would say, point number 3 to the retention question. To what extent are we as leaders enabling authentic conversations? And an authentic conversation includes, to my perspective, my mind, the redefinition of what emotion is okay and what is not. I think crying is as normal an emotion as happiness and laughter is. So I think authentic conversations, and let's maybe shift to authentic conversation a little bit, because there's another lady here who said, I gave up my job and I became a podcaster, and I'm having so much more fun now, and why can't I have fun in a job context? It's the same question, it's a tabla moment. Why couldn't I have these tabla moments, in her case, the podcast moments, while I'm at work? And so the question is, and Jinny, I'll go to you. Your role as a coach means you have a bird's eye view on a lot of companies, venture funds, startups, all sizes. Who are the people who have been able to create space for authentic conversation? And by the way, I'm a great believer, and we do this at LimeRoad all the time. I say this authentic conversation has nothing to do with how I rate you at the end of the year or how you get rated by your peers. It has to do how well your life is going to be when you go back home. Because if you know how to have authentic conversation at work, you know how to have authentic conversation at home as well, right? So I think it's a life skill. Where have you seen that work really well? What stories can you tell us about people who've been able to encourage authentic conversation?
First of all, on the previous one, I don't advocate that women should not work. That wasn't what I was trying to say. All I was trying to do was add nuance to the conversation there. Coming back to workplace, what some companies have been able to do successfully, there are a couple of VC firms where we work. What they've been able to do is what Suchi was talking about in terms of creating a very compelling sense of purpose at work. And this isn't the beautiful vision statement that they painted and put on their office walls. They had authentic conversations. This one VC firm we worked with, the CEO invited one more person, invited 2 more people, invited 3 more people. Over 3 months, over these authentic conversations, created the purpose of the organization, created the purpose of the firm. And then you don't have retention as an issue. And it wasn't a false purpose. It wasn't like our purpose is to, wow our customers. Our purpose is, it wasn't. It had a solid purpose which got everybody together, which ignited everybody, and then there is no balance. Then you have at that firm people who are sitting till midnight because that's what their job is fueling them to do. And at the same place, you also have people who are saying, I have kids at home, I'm going to take off at 5 today. You know, because they, in that particular organization, the CEO advocated this mantra called your voice matters. Use your voice. And that's where we've never seen anybody leave in that organization. People join and will say, do what. I was interviewing one of the partners at this firm, and it was a woman, and she's like, look, these people will have to literally throw me out. I'm never leaving. They will have to throw me out. I'm never leaving this place.
Can you please share this in a context of a different type of companies? Because VC firms' jobs are very few and far.
Yeah.
Those kind of culture is very different than a lot of SMEs and startups.
Yeah.
Where you are fighting for resources, you have lot other challenges. That work environment and this work environment could be very different. So if you share experiences with that.
Yes, context is different for sure, but I think the idea is universal.
Absolutely, ma'am.
The idea is universal. We worked with startups where things are falling apart. You know, we've expanded our operations to the US. We have hired people in the US. The US people cannot get along with India people. US work culture is different. India work culture is different. And they're all falling apart. And we've gone then and had authentic conversations with the startup founder, the co-founder, and all the leaders. And they've actually crafted the original purpose of their work, and that becomes their cementing force.
I'll take that, actually. I know exactly where you're coming from. So, you know, when we started LimeRoad, my engineering team was in Bangalore, and we were in Delhi. I was in Delhi. And there were a bunch of IIT boys, 5 IIT boys, in a small little office in Koramangala. And I was in Delhi, and I was traveling. So Thursday, Friday was Bangalore, and the rest of the week was Delhi. And you know, there was no way that you can do clock in, clock out, right? So one of the things, for example, to this day, we don't have at LimeRoad is, and this is after merging into a publicly listed company that's highly compliance driven, we still don't have clock in, clock out, holiday keeping. Nobody knows when you come, when you go. And I used to say, if you want to go for a film at 3 in the afternoon on a working day, I would much rather you came and said that to me and not say that I've got to take my grandma to the hospital. Tell me that I want to go, hey, we're all going for a film. And I'll say, be my guest. Kya karna hai mujhe? I don't need you to be here at 3. I just need for you to get the work done. Now, that can be 3 in the morning. I don't care. Just get it done. I think there are small little things like that that enabled us to build. So I'll give you another example. My first customer support team was a team of 5 people who I handpicked after 200 interviews. Each of them went on to manage teams of minimum of 50 people. The conversation, one of them did not get promoted in the first 2 rounds, right? And she came crying to me, I still remember this. Today she runs 250 people and she's a senior manager, and she earns more than her husband, who also actually started with us. And she says, you'll have to throw me out. I'm not leaving. You'll have to really throw me out. And what is it? I gave her, you have the conversation, say, okay, I'm not getting promoted. Have you had the conversation with your manager saying exactly that? Where am I falling short? Go have that conversation. Then say, okay, please tell me the 3 things, practices, behaviors that I need to demonstrate to be able to fix that gap. Then demonstrate it 3 to 6 months running. She got promoted, and she kept getting promoted year on year on year. So I think there is a really big role, and in startups, I really think you need it. That is the only way people are going to work for you, with you, at midnight, will pick up your call at 4 in the morning, if needed, And when New Relic rings and the system is down, you don't have to call anybody, and you will never know because they will have fixed it. This is, I think, your view.
Can I just add? I agree. I think for me, I'm a lot more explicit about what success means for the other person. So the person says, hey, and I'm very clear that quantifiable metrics are the most important, right? So success is equal to wealth. I don't care if you're 22, 35, we have hired people who are 66 also. Each of them, we quantify, okay, if you spend 5 years here, what would you make here in wealth as opposed to in your previous role? Best case scenario. If you're an area sales manager, you'll become RSM, you'll become head of sales. What's the amount of wealth you're going to create? And hence, are we able to do 3x of that here? Your wealth is equal to number of shares into share price. Number of shares is between you and me. And here are the 3 things you need to do to get to that. Share price is for the company. And we have in our reception, we have our share price. And there's a movable board every first of the month. We tell everyone in the reception. So it's an investor, vendor, future employee, current employee. It's public. They're accountable to that share price. That's number one. Second, are you in a position to get a job where you would have catapulted 15 years of a career in 5 years? So if you would have been RSM, if you spend 5 years at Bombay shaving company, can you become the best head of sales for a 500 to 1,000 crore business? Can you do that? So that's my job again, to coach you to get to that level. I'm not the person who can do it, but I can find 10 people who can. So my job is to make sure you're wealthy, and my job is to make sure you're hireable at 15 years rather than 5. That's my job. And you have to know I get it, and I get it for each of my 250 people. And I think once you have those conversations in an authentic way, then I think you also put accountability on yourself to make it happen for good people. You won't do it for everyone. You'll do it for good people. The bar is high. So I'll do it for 30% of my people who carry 90% of my load. The other 70% have an explicit conversation to say you're not carrying the load.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll take a question. I don't know how much time we have. Maybe another time for 2 more questions. We're done. Upasana is telling us we're done. So we'll take, Upasana, can we take 1 more question? All right, last question. Yes.
A question to, all of you guys are founders. I think I'm a really bad micromanager as a founder. And I'm sure many of you have gone through that phase where I've read all the literature about hiring the best people and telling them and asking them to tell us what to do and all that stuff. But I still find it hard to get out of that phase where I'm still telling my product managers that these are the 20 things that we need to look at, this is the product roadmap we need to be building, these are the metrics we need to follow, rather than the other way around. Is that still life now for you guys, or did you find some way out of it at some point in time? And I think that's what helps for a supportive and a positive workplace. I don't think it's fun working with me, and I want it to be that. It's not.
Super 100% on self-awareness. That's all about.
Yeah, so look man, like my view is that if you're hiring people who are smarter than you and you genuinely believe they are, then you need to stop telling them what to do. You genuinely need to get up in the morning, open your laptop, and then physically shut it down again. And don't go to work. And turn off your phone and give yourself a break, and give people a break from you.
And
clear. And whatever floats your boat.
Find my own tabla moment.
Whatever floats your boat. But genuinely, I'm glad that you're aware, because most micromanagers or people who, you call it ungli, right? People who feel they don't know that they do that. Like, but I'm glad that you've gotten the feedback and you're kind of aware of it. So just don't show up at work for it. And by the way, measure the productivity of your product team or whatever it is that you do. To say, hey, this is what would be ideal outcome on a Friday or on a 30th of the month. And be over-communicate this. The biggest issue with communication is the illusion that it has happened. Okay? Don't do that. So make sure you communicate, this is my expectation. Beyond that, don't do a thing. And on Friday or end of the month, whenever you want to measure it yourself, see whether they have exceeded or not exceeded. And if they have, then that's feedback to you, man. That is like, you probably hinder them more than you have.
And I can tell you they would have exceeded. There is very low probability that they would have. You have to give them the space and take the vacation.
What I do is I tell them, boss, तुम्हें पता है तुम्हें क्या करना है, जब तक आग नहीं लग रही हो ना, मुझे फोन मत करना. Simply I just tell my.
Alright, on that very aag nahi lag rahi ho, phone mat karna moment, I'm going to call it a wrap. Upasana's keeping us clean on time. Thank you very much for being such a participative audience.
Thank you so much, Shantanu, Jinny, and Suchi. Quick token gift.